Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today bringing you guys yet another loadout for Titanfall 2 multiplayer. Today we're going to be taking a look at what I'm calling the Gunrunner. This is a mobility-focused loadout that puts the incredible appetite of the EVA-8 shotgun front and center. Now this loadout is primarily the result of me looking for the best way to boost my on-the-move accuracy, my overall accuracy in Titanfall 2 with a controller, and also to continue and improve my overall speed, my slide hopping proficiency, and my ability to build and maintain momentum. So you're going to see a lot of elements within this loadout that are tied directly to those two key points. So let's move forward and take a look at our pilot tactical to get things rolling. I am going to be running Pulse Blade all day and all night. I actually really enjoy and appreciate the consistent pinpoint situational awareness that's provided by the Pulse Blade. It's also nice to be able to throw it in someone's face and actually get a kill. That's definitely an added bonus, but there's just something about being able to throw this thing right where I want it, scan an area of the map, pick up 3 or 4 red dots, and then go in and clean house with my EVA-8 shotgun. It's sort of like a wolf hunting sheep, and he happens to have UAV technology. You really just can't go wrong with that. It works out quite well. And when we're running tactical on the EVA-8 like we are, we're going to get Pulse Blade so often that we're going to forget that we actually have it, and we're probably going to end up missing the opportunity to use it more and more. So it's a really good tool, and in this instance I genuinely wanted to avoid any sort of pilot tactical that was going to give me mobility assistance again, so I could focus on just raw mobility movement, focus on the improvement of my momentum building, my overall movement speed, all of that stuff without things like stim and grapple. So there was a very good reason for running Pulse Blade in this instance, and you know what? I ended up liking it quite a lot. Let's move forward though and take a look at our actual loadout, starting of course with the EVA-8 shotgun. As I mentioned, I'm running Speed Loader and Tactical on this thing. We're going to be able to get that Pulse Blade up more quickly, and of course Speed Loader is great for getting fresh mags in the gun as quickly as possible so we can slaughter that next herd of sheep. No joke when it comes to this thing, guys. I was talking with Iniquity last night about the EVA-8. It's one of his favorite weapons. I think he said it's one of his top weapons right alongside of the alternator, and I just can't believe how good this thing is once you get accurate with it. That's probably the biggest issue, is you can't really miss shots. I mean, obviously it's semi-auto, so you've got the opportunity for a lot of follow-up shots, which is nice, but when you're going up against like an R2 and alt, pretty much every weapon in the game that isn't like the Mastiff or someone with a revolver or a handgun that isn't really good with it, you're going to get shut down if you start to miss shot after shot after shot. So you have to land each and every shot. And when you start talking super close quarters environments, there's a lot of one-shot potential behind the EVA-8, especially when you go for headshots. All in all, it's just an incredibly consistent shotgun as well across all of its effective ranges. I mean, if you get a hit marker on someone, you see a chunk of their health go away, you might think, wow, that was a pretty extreme distance. But as long as you got that hit marker and you see some of their health drop, you can pretty much keep engaging them and eventually clean them up. That's just how consistent this thing is. And again, if you go for headshots, you can get some really like off the cuff far shots and clean kills with like 2 or 3 rounds. So I was surprised at just how far this thing could reach out and tear someone's face off. It was really quite nice. It is just an undeniably great weapon. The thing is, a lot of people don't use it because it's not as heavily aim assist boosted as some of the rifles. There's people using the EVA-8, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the spray and pray power of an SMG like the R97 or the car, you know, there's a little bit more leeway there. There's more opportunities to make mistakes and still be able to recover because you've got that big juicy magazine. But that is exactly why I chose the EVA-8. It is the only semi-automatic weapon in the game outside of like pistols that is going to really let you focus on accuracy and precision without heavy aim assist boosting. That's the biggest problem with the G2. The G2, you can just like hold left trigger and it has crazy aim assist tracking. You can just spam it all day long. And that's the other thing too, is you can spam that weapon like and eventually you catch, you know, a couple bullets here and there. You might as well be using a semi-automatic rifle at that point. The EVA has just enough time between each trigger pull that you really have to focus on landing shot after shot after shot. And if you can get good with it, you can just clean up herds of sheep. Throw down a Pulse Blade into a hallway, you get a team that happens to be feeding you, you can probably get a kill with every single round in that magazine. And then reload, and then do it all over again. It is an insanely just devouring weapon. It's so freaking powerful once you wrap your hands around it. I admit, my first like 2 or 3 matches with it were incredibly frustrating as I started to build my accuracy with it, but I think everyone should play with the EVA-8 shotgun at one point because it's going to make you a better pilot when it comes to accuracy. There's just simply no denying that. Within the first night of playing with this thing, I already noticed that I was getting more accurate with some of my other weapons, some of my other SMGs. Now, it does of course have its weaknesses. As I mentioned, it is a shotgun, so there is eventually going to be a range at which you can't engage someone. So you do want to avoid going long distance up against people with hemlocks and R2s and even the alternator that can be tap fired at some pretty excessive distances. You want to avoid that. You want to play to the effective areas of the map where a shotgun's going to make the most sense. Use your pulse blade to identify targets, move into those close quarters environments, and then clean house. Now this is where our secondary, our handgun, our sidearm, I should say, is going to come into play. There are of course going to be distances where the EVA just simply doesn't work, so I chose to start running the wingman. I actually experimented with a lot of different handguns on this loadout. Initially, it had the RE45. Initially, the loadout was called Spray and Slay, and it completely evolved in the last 2 or 3 days after I used it on stream. So I would say run something like the Wingman or the Wingman Elite. Avoid pistols that don't have, really long distance capabilities, so you can use the Wingman or the Wingman Elite to reach out and tear someone's face off at the distances that the EVA-8 won't. It's going to leave you less exposed in those situations where someone is just out of the shotgun's range capabilities, and it's going to make you a bit more versatile on the battlefield. It was also yet another opportunity to work on my accuracy with the Wingman, which I am still quite rubbish with, but nonetheless, I strongly recommend it. Now, as it goes for grenades, I decided to give electric smoke a go, and I walked away quite impressed. I know a few of you guys have recommended electric smoke in the past to me. I just never really gave it a chance, nor could I find a loadout combination that I really liked it with. It happens to be amazing for the EVA-8 shotgun and pulse blade, specifically on tight maps like Complex, where I can sort of, throw out a pulse blade, scan an area, see 3 or 4 red dots in like PvP, and then throw electric smoke on maybe half of that portion of the engagement zone. So if you're in a tight area, you can use electric smoke to sort of close that environment down, to make it from a 2-lane highway to a 1-lane highway, and then you can just kind of clean house within that 1-lane highway. Of course, people who happen to walk into the smoke, they're going to take damage, so you're stacking damage on your targets, making them easier to kill. Electric smoke is dope, man. I really like it. It's also a great escape tool, so if things go really south and you need to reload and recompose before you go back and slaughter more sheep, you throw an electric smoke down, you make a break for it, whoop, 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 out of the back door, reload, recompose, go back in, and clean up the rest of those sheep. So electric smoke, give it a chance, guys. I think it works perfectly with the EVA. It works perfectly with this playstyle, this sort of close quarters, tight corridor, pulse blade hunting madness. It just works really well. Let's finish things up by talking about our pilot kit. Nothing really crazy here, guys. Pilot cell and low profile. I would say that I recommend health regeneration for those of you guys who are maybe struggling with survivability. You want some out of, combat, health regen boost. Health regeneration would definitely make sense here. And as we are running tactical, potentially on both of our weapons, you may not see a reason to run power cell, but I stuck with power cell and low profile for me personally. Now there is actually a boost selected here. I've decided to give the Titan Sentry a go. I ask you to give it a go, and then recognize that it's complete rubbish. I refuse to use the Pilot Sentry because I just don't like the way it breaks up the flow of Titanfall 2 combat, so it's not something I'll ever deploy. Here's the thing about the Titan Sentry. I've seen it engage pilots, but it doesn't do it often. It just seems like rubbish. It seems like it's so slow to engage the Titans themselves. I've put it down right in front of me while there were 3 Titans on the bridge in Blackwater Canal and watched it do almost nothing. So if you want to run another pilot boost, feel free. And honestly, if you're playing pilots versus pilots, there's no reason for the Titan Sentry, so I started running Map Pack, really just maximizing my situational awareness, probably well beyond its necessary reach, but there's just something really satisfying about always knowing where the enemy is, so you can move in and clean house with that EVA-8 shotgun. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Gunrunner. Give it a chance. Again, I really recommend this loadout for these guys looking to improve your accuracy, especially if you're playing with a controller. A lot of the weapons really do give you that hefty tracking boost when you ADS. You don't really get that with the EVA-8. You're probably not going to be ADSing that often either. So this is a great way to just boost your overall accuracy. And of course, if you're looking to focus on your slide hopping, the lack of stim or grapple here is going to help you work on that as well. Now, I'm not really doing Titans with these loadouts anymore. If I have one that's so specifically themed around a Titan in the future, I will. But a lot of these, it just makes more sense to focus on the pilot and let you guys run whatever Titan you want to run when you play modes that actually feature Titans. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to go and give this loadout a try. Come on back here. Let me know what you thought of it. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on the stream. I don't care where you hit me up. Just let me know what your experience with the Gunrunner has been and whether or not it's made you any more precise and accurate in Titanfall 2 multiplayer. I gotta get back to working on that new closer, and I'll see you in the next one.